Another returnee from the days of NMR00, and anyone who played the GBA game will know this guy particularly well. It is NMR00 Utopian, the Nightmare type, with a kit of triple virus, flight legs, and the leg ability of Through Fight, which grants a passive chance for melee attacks to ignore defense. This also includes shields when attacking the opponent. Now, unfortunately, as I've mentioned in previous videos and very likely future ones, triple of the same ailment does kind of hurt viability just a little bit, but in Utopian's case, he does kind of take that in stride and can get away with it pretty decently without it hurting him. Virus is a turn-skipping skill that if you catch the opponent in their heat phase, it will force them into turn skip, which means that when they get to the line, they will not be able to complete their action and turn around and start their cooldown phase. This ailment is perfect for helping you buy time against that potential nuker that may very quickly cripple your team build if something isn't done quickly to buy you that extra moment. So Virus, of course, is a very handy ailment skill to make use of. In Utopian's case, however, Virus is a pretty unique ailment that I would argue the double or even triple redundancy argument really wouldn't apply against, specifically in the case that even if you catch them in heat phase or cool phase, there really is no major detriment because it still applies a temporary negative ailment. I believe in Virus's case it is no defend. If it's not no defend, it's no evade, one of the two. That they can still live with, that someone else can come behind Utopian and get that extra hit in as maybe a spite for not being fast enough to catch them. Of course, if you do catch them in their heat phase, of course, and you outrun them to the line, that turn skip does prove incredibly invaluable to make use of to buy yourself those extra few moments to prep your team, get any shields on the line, or even get your nuker up and running before they can get crippled in the 1 or 2 turns. Through Fight, of course, means that as a melee fighter, Utopian's hits have a chance to ignore defense. This also includes shields, as I mentioned. So say, for instance, you're going up against Baron Castle as an example. Through Fight gives Utopian a chance to completely bypass and ignore the said shield in play, and Baron Castle can't do a thing about it. Which means, even if there's a nuker coming up behind Baron Castle that's being protected, Utopian has a chance to bypass Baron Castle and still force them into turn skip to buy yourself that extra moment, as I mentioned. As a pure set score, I would rate him about a solid 6.5, maybe even a 7. I was kind of arguing myself on this one, out of 10. Again, with the flight legs, he is going to have very naturally high mobility on most terrains for the most part, and the Through Fight ability does also come in handy for him very, very easily. Virus, of course, a skill you can never go wrong with, pretty much as I mentioned as a conventional ailment skill, and even again, as I keep mentioning with the triple redundancy argument, Utopia can kind of make use of this relatively easily and not let it bother him. As mixed parts, I would rate him much higher at a 7 out of 10, in the sense that you can use his legs anywhere on pretty much any kind of conventional melee build that requires a flight leg. Just to go over it briefly, flight legs do also typically have a 0 to 1 heavy limit. Utopian's, unfortunately, is 0. So if you're going to use his legs, the melee fighter in question cannot afford to use any heavy parts at all. This is not a hard drawback to overcome, but it's just for the sake of mentioning it. And of course, Virus, even just as a head part or as an arm, you can use it just about anywhere in any kind of build. So across the board, Utopian is designed mostly for the sake of just getting under the enemy's skin and just making sure that they can't do anything to buy yourself that extra moment or two to prep your shielder or your nuker before anyone can get under their skin and cripple them before the fight even gets a chance to start.